What I have here is probably the coolest and definitely the most absurdly over-designed tape measure I've ever seen. You're going to want to see this.
You know, I've worked in wood shops, machine shops, construction sites, garages, you name it. Chances are, if there's something to be made or fixed, I've probably given it a shot. I'm willing to bet I've used almost every tool there is. So imagine my surprise when something comes along that's just unlike any tool I've ever seen.
First things first, let's do a little unboxing, because who doesn't love a good unboxing? And these guys have done a really good job with this packaging, so I wanted to show you. Now, of course, this is an online site, so when you receive your order, it will in fact be in some packaging, and this actually is quite cool. They've got a custom packaging on the outside there as well. I like that they've got a custom envelope. It just kind of starts getting your mind ticking. Oh, this is cool. Look at the detail here. I wonder what detail's inside, you know? Maybe you don't. That's just how I see it. Anyway, moving on. Once you open this, you will get a box. I have to apologize immediately because this box is a little tarnished. Trust me, it didn't arrive like that. Don't worry. You know what I'm like. Workshop, tools, grease, oil, stuff everywhere. I don't know how this happened, but it did. So anyway, now looking at the cardboard box. First of all, it's cardboard. I like that. It's recyclable. Good. Second of all, look at the detail on this. It's a simple cardboard box, but you've got your logo again, you've got your name, you've got logos on the side, and you've even got a little one on the back, which appears to be embossed in some way, which is pretty nice, to be honest. It's a nice box. And while you're probably saying, James, just get to the package inside already, but that's what I want you to think, and that's what they want you to think. And that's how packaging works. It walks you through this story, this little journey. Like below, comment below if you get it. If you understand what I'm talking about, comment below and tell me you get it. Am I crazy? I have no idea. And if we open this again, oh look, here we got a little card, handmade design with quality, and you've got your socials on the back there. But again, we've got more packaging inside. We haven't yet found the product. It's still buried in here somewhere. And if we take this out, you see it's hiding within this little pouch. Again, you've got the logo on there, you've got the name. It seems to be some kind of iron-on gold, which feels really good, to be fair. And the pouch itself is it seems to be a very thick kind of cotton weave, almost kind of like a corduroy, but really tough looking. And I don't know why that matters. It shouldn't really, but I kind of like it. You know, this is probably the nicest, in fact, this is definitely the nicest pouch I've ever seen delivered with a product. If that means anything to anyone. I mean, you could put your coins in here and hang it off your belt like an adventurer, and you can take an arrow in the knee.
I used to be an adventurer like you.
Now we get to open this pouch up and finally see what we paid for. And if we go in here, ooh, man, that thing is heavy. Look at that. I still can't believe it's a tape measure. I mean, who would think of that? Just like, who's just like, you know what? Tape measures just aren't. I don't like how tape measures are. I just want one that's solid brass and looks like a chameleon. That takes some creativity to come up with this sort of stuff. And if you look at the guy's store, it's kind of all around, to be honest. It's just stuff that you just wouldn't expect to be made of brass. And it is, and it's just, I love it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is functionality, which is of course the most important aspect to any product. Without it, this thing would just be a very nice paperweight. So when we refer to functionality here, we're going to be talking about how well it functions as a tape measure. The first thing I'd like to note is the fact that this measures in both inches and millimeters, which is extremely important for an international audience, especially us English people who can never seem to decide between the two. Lengthwise, this is designed to be a 2-meter tape measure, so if we extend it all the way out, and as you can see there, it does in fact reach 2 meters without an issue, which is good because some tape measures will say they're 5 meters or say they're 3, and they'll get stuck at something like 4.8. Now, in terms of the type of tape, this is an interesting one for me. It's steel, but it's a flexible, flat steel that allows you to kind of wrap around things. You can measure around people and curved surfaces and whatever you want, really, which can be useful in a lot of different scenarios. Now this differs from what I'm typically used to, especially coming from a building trade where I use these kind of tape measures, which usually have a kind of U shape which allows them to stay straight over long distances. See, you can extend way out, which allows you to measure very easily, as opposed to this one where it doesn't do that. But I think that's actually a very smart design choice considering the target audience of this type of product. I'm not going to be taking this $80 piece of solid brass with me on a building site, but a tailor, someone who's working on leather, someone who works in, let's say, a less challenging environment where you're not going to trash it in the first few days, and it's much less likely that you're going to be measuring over long straight distances. So I personally do really appreciate that design choice. I found it useful in my leather work, which is where I use this primarily, and I've been using this for a couple of weeks now, and it's just been really great for that. Another functional element, it does come out and retract very easily. No issues there, which again, some tape measures get a little bit stiff, but this one's very nice, and it does kind of flap around a bit like a chameleon, which is kind of nice, I guess. And the final functional element I want to talk about is the tip. Just the tip, which is surprisingly important for tape measures, and I'll explain why. See, on this particular product we have a single fixed rivet, but it is indeed fixed and it's stable, which is surprisingly rare for a tape measure. If you look at a traditional building one, you'll find that more often than not, you've got a significant amount of play in the end. Now, as I understand it, that amount of play is to account for the thickness of the end portion of your tape measure, so that when it moves, you're taking the same measurement each time, if that makes sense. What I find in reality is it's usually not actually very accurate to the amount that you're trying to make up for. So what usually happens is you're trying to make an internal dimension, you push your tape measure that way, it compresses the end, you take your measurement, and then you go to cut something, you pull on it, and it extends, and then you take your measurement, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't fit. So personally, I much rather have that just fixed, and you can account for the small amount yourself. Next up on the agenda is the build quality, which is especially important for this type of item because you are paying for a premium quality product. Material-wise, this thing is solid brass, which is very impressive for this kind of product, with the main casing, from what I can see, being cast in 2 parts. As you can see, the detail on it is astounding. It's a really nice cast. Even up close, you can't really see any imperfections. And if you look along the join here, you can see that the 2 halves have been braced together in a number of places. We've got 5, maybe 6 brazing joints on there. So it's being well held together by those brazing joints, and it's certainly not going to go anywhere. Clearly the skill of the craftsmen involved in making this are exceptional. So although the price might seem extreme for a tape measure, I'm honestly kind of surprised it doesn't cost more. Now, if you look on the keyring, I'll put up a macro shot. This is what I was saying earlier about attention to detail. You've got "have a funny time" engraved on there. You've got the hashtag Coppertist.Wu. You've got the little Wu symbol, and on the back, even if you turn it around, you've got a cheeky little smiley face. That's by far the fanciest keyring I've ever seen, to go with the fanciest tape measure I've ever seen. Now we've gone through this product in detail, we've talked about functionality, we've talked about build quality, we've gone through aesthetics. I think it's important to talk about who this product is for. So would I personally go out and buy this product? Well, yes and no. To me, usually aesthetics and the nice things that come with, you know, this awesome build, to me that's really not that necessary. I would much rather have a $5 tape measure that I know I can throw on the floor and drop in cement and drop in paint and not really care about it, because that's kind of the work that I tend to do more often than, you know, the indoor stuff. But I don't think I'm necessarily the ideal use case for this type of product. I think this thing really does appeal to a lot of different people in lots of different disciplines. This is the sort of thing that I can imagine being an incredible gift. I mean, I was over the moon to receive this, so I imagine anyone else would be as well. It's something that you can put on your bag. It's got the keyring on there. Have it with you all the time if your job requires it, if your hobbies require it. And it's something that you can show off at the same time. You know, if it's hanging on your bag, then it's a talking piece. Someone's going to ask you, why do you have that awesome looking chameleon on your bag that seems to be made from solid brass? And you can explain why. And I think that's the kind of thing this is really meant for. It's a talking piece. It's something you can be proud to own. It's somewhat exclusive because not that many people want to spend that amount of money on a tape measure. And I know it sounds a bit wishy-washy, probably because I didn't script this video and I probably should have done. But I think it's important to say that while a lot of people might not agree that, you know, you want to spend this much on a tool, I think you can't really look at it as just a tool, and I think that's kind of where that difference lies. If you're looking for something a bit different, something that's special, that you're going to be proud to own, then this is honestly one of my favorite companies that I've discovered that makes this kind of goods. Quality is astounding, the designs are astounding. From what I've seen, the customer service is top notch, and I'm honestly just really pleased that I was able to discover this company. So that's it, guys. That was our first look at the Chameleon tape measure from Coppertist.Wu. Please do check them out. There's some really cool products on that site. Now, if you didn't know, this was actually my first full-length review video, so I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you liked about it and perhaps what you'd like me to talk about a bit more next time. And of course, if you appreciate this video, please do drop a like as usual. And if you're not subscribed already, which you should be, then make sure you hit that button and don't forget the bell. Everyone seems to forget the bell. I forget the bell sometimes. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know what you think of the new backdrop. Do you like it? I think it's kind of cool, but I guess we'll see how it looks in the end. Anyway, that's it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.